Hi, folks. Welcome to our Muslim Futures Authors Chat series, where we're talking with the writers and filmmakers whose stories make up the upcoming Muslim Futures anthology, coming soon to a bookstore near you. Each of these episodes is a chance to chat with one of our wonderful authors on everything from science fiction and magical realism to what it takes to create an aspirational future. Today, I'm so excited to be chatting with Jumai Yusuf. Welcome, Jumai.
Hello.
Tell us what your story is called and what it's about.
Sure. My story is called The Academy of Mystic Arts, which follows an 18-year-old man named Salim who is accepted into this prestigious academy. But he is in absolute disbelief. Convinced there's been some mistake, he's practically dragged by his sister to the acceptance day, where he's then led on a tour of the campus and introduced to the five different schools of magic. Each school within the academy specializes in a specific type of magic, like the School of Calligraphy, where students learn charms and potions, or the School of Geometry, where students master arithmancy and divination. But through it all, Salim remains certain that he does not belong. So Salim must decide whether he will return to the comfort of his old life or take a leap of faith and pursue a future that he never believed was possible. So that's the story.
And it's such a lovely story. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
What was the inspiration for your story? And tell us about the aspirational world that you wanted to create.
Yeah, so I was interested in the concept of abundance and a world where people do not need to work just to survive. And in that type of a world, I think the arts would have a much higher value and appreciation. Choosing to become an artist would have the same prestige as becoming a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. Having your child go to an art school would be as desired as, going to medical school. So that inspired me to tell a story about a magic academy, sort of like a Hogwarts, but where the system of magic flows from real world Islamic art. So, for example, how do you cast a spell? Usually that involves waving a magic wand around and, saying some incantation. But for my version, I thought, what if your magic wand was actually a qalam, which is the reed pen that is traditionally used for Islamic calligraphy? So when you wave this magic wand, what you're actually doing is drawing Arabic calligraphy in the air in front of you. And that's how you cast the charm. So there's more, like, instances like this where I was really taking Islamic arts and trying to imagine a type of magic that might flow from it.
What excites you most about Muslim Futures, and why did you want to collaborate on the project?
Yeah, so my favorite genres have always been the speculative genres, so sci-fi, fantasy, even horror. And growing up, I devoured YA fantasy novels as a kid. So I was so excited about this project because we would be creating an entire anthology of new futuristic worlds that were all inspired by our faith. And, growing up, I don't think in any of the books that I read that there was, magic or something that was inspired by Islam or the Muslim world or even Muslim adjacent, as opposed to things like, Greek mythology, which, I mean, you couldn't avoid even if you tried. So basically, I was just so excited. And I'd say I'm even as excited to read what the other writers wrote, because I just can't wait to see, new, fresh ideas in these genres that I love.
What are you hoping readers will take away from the story?
On a character level, I really wanted to tackle imposter syndrome with this story, which is something that a lot of people, especially artists, struggle with. The message that I want to give readers is don't block your blessings, like don't let feelings like imposter syndrome get in the way of your own artistic expression and success, especially when there's people who are out there praising you for your work. So, with Salim in my story, he literally has an acceptance letter in his hand, but still he can't bring himself to believe that he deserves to be there. We deserve to be here. We deserve to take up space. But and from a world building standpoint, I want people to be introduced to, or maybe reintroduced to, just the wonderful breadth of cultures that make up the global Muslim community. Whether you're looking back through history at Islamic art and architecture, or the contributions to mathematics, science, and astrology that different, ancient scholars from the Islamic world made, or the rich diversity of the modern Muslim world with all the different food and different clothes, and yes, even music and dance. So I just want to really show that Muslims are not a monolith. And unfortunately, I think one of the consequences of the lack of representations of Muslims in media is that all of the Muslim world is just flattened into a boring stereotype. So, hoping to kind of expand people's minds and get away from that.
Along those lines, why do you think stories about aspirational Muslim futures are important or necessary in the current moment?
I think what really stuck out to me for this entire process and this project is that word aspirational. And, I think that we all need a bit of hope in the world right now with just, the rise of AI and just the state of the economy and like rising nationalism and fascism. And it feels like the future is bending in this dark direction. And I think aspirational stories like these are necessary to show that things don't actually have to be doom and gloom. The rise of technology can be a good thing, and the future can still be bright if we choose to make it so. So I hope reading a book like this can kind of help to inspire and uplift people and sort of shake off this heaviness that I feel like has been weighing down on us. That's why I'm really excited for this aspirational take on genre storytelling. And it's not just like another dystopia.
That makes a lot of sense. Um, that brings us to a close for today. Thanks, Jumai, so much for coming and talking with us about your inspiration, about your story, and your vision for an aspirational world for Muslims in America and beyond. Thanks, folks, for watching. For folks watching or listening along, please click on the link below or in the comments to pre-order your copy of Muslim Futures Anthology right now. See you in the future.